to another Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series and the Umbani Chronicles, and I am joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adlithia, Elendil, and Almond Tree's Magic. So if you like sci-fi and fantasy, please go and check her stuff out wherever you can find the books. I believe they're on Amazon, right?
Amazon and at arwbooks.com.
Awesome. Today we are continuing our talk on the Sandman on Netflix. That I think it was August something that it got released. It was early
Yeah,
August, the
it
fifth, maybe.
was, I think, the 5th of August,
Yeah, yeah.
around that time.
Based on the graphic novels that Neil Gaiman did in conjunction. I'm not sure which kind. It's Dark Horse, right? That did there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dark Horse.
So we're doing episodes 3 and 4 today. So if you have not at least watched up until that point, please put this on pause, go watch them, and come back. So spoiler alert, if you continue listening, we're talking about episode 3, which is titled "Dream a Little Dream of Me," and we get introduced to Joanna Constantine. But I'm American, so I'm going to say Constantine from here on out. So please forgive me if I'm offending any of our people in the UK. Uh, I like this character. She's interesting to me, and she happens to have his sand, I believe, in her
Hmm.
possession. At least I forget the first 2 episodes how he comes to that conclusion that she has the sand.
The three fates are the ones
Oh,
that
that's right. Yeah,
Constantine
the
has.
fates, because yeah, he's trying to get his vestments back, and Joanna is apparently an exorcist. She gets rid of
Yes.
demons and sends them back to hell. And we open up with
It's like a split, like you open up with one scene that sort of cuts to another. And I
yeah,
didn't realize at first how much, it doesn't tell us how much time passed between scene one and scene two.
yeah.
But we see that her husband just made everything worse. Or her daughter's father. I won't say her husband. I don't know if they were married. But she did say stay with your father.
Oh, you think that was Joanna's kid? That was Joanna's kid?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it
I don't
was.
think so, because
Oh,
she said it was like an accident like last time when mommy died.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
I
right.
think the girl's name was Astra or something like that.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
just that was her father. That was the little girl's father.
yeah. And so that was a weird scenario because she wakes old boy up on the ground. He's like, "We're just having a bit of fun." They got the pentagram on the ground, and we were, oh yeah, by summoning demons, huh? You having a bit of fun, and yeah,
I
that goes
don't
bad.
understand how that is considered fun. Like, why would anyone want to
Summon a demon.
randomly, for fun, summon a demon? Like, all of TV and movies and books and just history say, don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah,
Don't summon a demon who could be all powerful, whose whole goal of this is trick you and ruin your life because you want something special.
yeah.
Don't do that.
And then I'm thinking that opening scene with her is actually a dream that she has later on. Because I think
Hmm.
Dream actually Morpheus confirms that. He's like, that's not a dream, that's a memory.
Oh,
So
because she did wake up in the car. And
yeah,
the guy was like, "We're here."
yeah. And then she's on her way to the vicar. Something's got to do with the Vatican. And I was like, why is she avoiding? She didn't want to do it if it was had anything to do with the royals. That was interesting.
Because we saw. Well, so I guess because it could get messy and people can die, and it's
Yeah,
one thing to accidentally kill a regular person, a commoner, by exercising a demon out of a body. But if you
yeah,
kill like a royal family member, you can't really hide that. They're like, oh wait, where did the princess or prince or king or queen or royal duke cousin whatever?
yeah.
Where did they
That's what
go?
she says. She's like, because yeah, they're messy, and one wrong something goes wrong. I have a dead princess on my hand, and no one's here to pay my fee.
And
Uh,
she all about the money, and I ain't mad
yes, she
about
is.
that. She's like, who gonna pay me if I kill her by accident?
Yeah. So that was an interesting scene with her, and then they go back. to John D being grilled by his mom, and she finally opens up and tells him the truth about how things come. And we learn a little bit more about him.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he was the one that stole the ruby from her, and we already know from the past episodes that she had traded the helm for that amulet of protection. That was yeah, that was a weird scenario.
That whole mother-son dynamic is very interesting because when she tells him that your father wanted me to abort you, he's like, "That's the first time you've ever been honest with me," and
Yeah,
it always goes into the trope of parents quote unquote protecting their child by not telling them the truth, but in
yeah,
actuality, like you always put them in more danger because they don't trust you because they know they're lying, like you're lying to them, and makes you wonder if she had just told her son from the get-go this is what's going on, would he have stolen the ruby, or would he have trusted her? Because if he knows her so well to know when she's lying, he's like he always knew they were lying when they were running from town to town and changing their name.
yeah.
um like, oh, if you had just told him the truth, he wouldn't have stolen from you.
Did you feel like Ethel just gave up?
I feel like she is one of those things where it's like, you've lived. Have you seen the movie Time? With the one that had where they lived and paid by time on their arms and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
It's like there was one character there who was like basically, the human body is not meant to live over a certain amount of time. And I felt like maybe she was like, look, I've lived a long life. If I'm going to go out, this amulet can only protect one of us. I don't want you to go after the ruby because she knows that the Sandman gets it by force and not by them willingly giving it over. They're going to die. And if they can only have one thing to protect them, I felt she wanted to protect her son. She said she had 116 years.
Yeah.
And
I
so
feel
that's
like
a
she
long
was trying to
time.
deflect and stop him from, because his plan is like, how about we just get the ruby and then drink
Yeah,
and make a wish to wish that the Sandman don't exist. She's like, I don't know if it works. You don't
like
use his
that.
own stuff. Yeah, it's not going to work like that. So how about you just take this amulet of protection? Now you don't need the ruby. And that was
Mm-hmm.
quick when she gave the ruby up and they kind of hug and embrace and then back up and she just got old quick. She's like Benjamin Buttoned on him. And just died
Aged real quick.
right there. And the amulet of protection was protecting, boy. Because when she used it on the Corinthian, it just sent him back to dream. Like he ended up
Yeah, because
reassuming.
it like killed him in a sense that he only was able to come back because he was able to get back to the dream world because he's not human.
Mm,
Like if he wasn't able to go back there, I feel like it probably would have killed him.
yeah,
But I thought that
completely.
was something special to specifically
To him.
him. I didn't
Yeah.
realize they would do that for like everyone.
Yeah, but they just like splattered though, but there were no remnants of him there. When he goes away, he just goes away.
Yeah.
They're just like splattered on him. I was like, ugh. The two security guards in the
Mm-hmm.
elevator, and he just like looking at them. I'm like, oh man, why don't you just let me go? It's like, oh, this ain't gonna end it. At the end of before when we go back to Joanna Constantine, we get introduced to the new Raven, uh, Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah, and he played by Patrick Oswald, I think. Is that who
Mm-hmm.
that is? Yeah, he's voicing the. So that was kind of funny because he was like, a few hours ago I was a man, and apparently I died, and I woke up I had thumbs, and now I got these.
Like I had thumbs. Where do they go? um, I I didn't realize the guy's voice was going to be this way the entire time. The Sandman's voice, and it's a
Oh
little.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I'm
You
like
thought
a
it was
hundred.
going to only be monologues, and not when he was actually speaking be the same timbre.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought only in the monologues his voice would be like that, and then maybe in the very beginning, while he was like getting his bearings, it was going to sort of stay like that. But I didn't realize every single time he spoke, it was going to be the monologue, monotone voice, and I don't know if I'm liking it yet. I don't know if I'm liking the voice. I enjoyed episode 3 more than I enjoyed episode 1 or 2,
okay.
but I just needed more. I don't know, inflection. It's like listening to an audiobook and you stop
Yeah,
because of
exactly. It's a
because like I'm like
narration voice.
eventually I need a little bit of inflection. I need something to keep me engaged besides just the action.
Yeah.
And his voice, it's just not doing it for me. I'm so sorry, people. I'm so
You don't
sorry.
like it? I like it, but it's a bit. It can be a bit much because it's continuing and it's not even. There's like no conversational tone. He's actually talking. It's still that same timbre and kind of stiffness to the quality of his speech. Um, Antonia says, "I think the voice fits the character." Okay.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's it takes some getting used to. I don't mind it. Um, he does seem a bit stiff sometimes when he's talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
The interactions with him and Joanna Constantine were funny. She's like, "Oh, you just think you're gonna order me around? Does that usually work for you?" He's like, "Yeah, that's
Yes.
how it works." The scene with her exorcising the demon that actually was in the brother, the soccer player.
I didn't see that coming. The princess really seemed like she was the one who was um possessed.
Yeah,
I didn't really see it being that guy. He was so happy and joyful and actually emoted, showed some emotion, and she's like, "Yes, I want to get married." And he
mm,
kept like, "Are you sure? Don't you want there to be paparazzi or something
it
else
kind of
there?"
dinged all of it. We got another
No
comment,
spoilers for us.
so I can't comment anything else. Hilarious. Yeah, I was surprised a little bit, but I kind of knew when he started kind of flipping out.
Yeah,
I was curious, like, why did she choose to put the priest collar on to pretend to be a priest to marry them instead of just having the vicar do so? Because she's officially a member of the church and she could just be a witness or whatever and do the same thing. But I guess in order to give her Latin incantations, I guess that she had to be the one sitting there having them say things. Uh,
and I think it kept their guard down because they wanted it to be in private, and so
mm,
I feel like if the demon that was inside of him saw that there was someone sort of watching it when they wanted this to be a private event,
true.
uh,
Makes sense.
they kept their guard down. Like, oh yeah, I'm marrying you, and I want you to say these incantations. And she probably has a little bit more of a power than the priest and the vicar does because they call. I guess she's on rotation, like she's on speed dial for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you're quick. For us, it may take us a couple hours, but you can just do it real quick with just the cross and a few Latin phrases.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting episode. That was an interesting part with what that demon clawing about a homeboy and just ripping him apart. Just like Kevin, I'm like Kevin gone.
And now I understand why she was like, if it goes wrong, I have a dead princess on my hand. Like you don't survive.
True. Yeah.
You don't
Because if it
survive
was
when
a
it goes
princess,
up.
that would have happened to her. Yeah.
Yeah. I when I saw the hand come out, I was like, oh, he's not gonna survive this. That's one of the most gruesome exorcisms, very like of a demon coming out of a body that I've ever seen on like a
Yeah.
television show. Normally it's like a spirit or like they're throwing up vomit or something, but to actually have a body come out of his body was
Yeah.
well,
For all the complaints people have been on other shows as far as CG and effects, this one has some pretty nice effects to it. I think
yeah.
they put some money into this show, which is curious. I'm hearing rumors floating around that they haven't yet been contracted for a second season. I wonder if that has to do with viewership because it's obvious they put some money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think Warner Brothers owns this show technically. So I wonder if it doesn't get set up for a second season on Netflix, will they just put it on HBO Max, whatever?
Well, depending on what's going with HBO Max, we don't know. Like they can't even get their Batgirl movie happening at HBO Max right now.
That's what I'm saying. Though, if their slate gets smaller because everything gets canceled, and they just, hey, we won't renew it with Netflix. We'll just port this over here to
That
continue
is
it to try
possible.
and maybe simultaneously siphon off some viewership that may have been interested in Netflix watching it, knowing it's not available there. It may be available here. Something they
I
could
think
do.
they did that with Pennyworth.
Pennywise.
No,
Anyway,
Pennyworth.
or
Batman's
Alfred
butler.
The Butler
Yeah,
Show.
it
Yeah,
was on Epic first, and now it's on HBO Max.
yeah. So yeah, that the demon gets exorcised. seem like they approach an episodic release because a new episode was just added. Yeah, they did. They did release a new episode
Of
of
the
something
Sandman?
like no. On Netflix, they just added another episode to the Sandman, which apparently has some real significance to the graphic novel comic series with cats or something. I haven't. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be good and not watch
Watching it.
it. Yeah, but I've seen people posting about it online. So yeah, they exercise the demon, and then Constantine obviously gets followed, and Matthew tries to keep, hey, I'm going to stay with you. He's trying to get rid of him, and as he's trying to get rid of him, Constantine shakes him, and of course, because she falls asleep again, he's able to just follow her because she's fast asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows up, and she suddenly remembers after kind of going through her messy apartment where she left the sand. What do you think of that part?
So I thought seeing her trying to exercise that demon in her memory, and then seeing the stupid little girl walking into the room when you see all that crazy stuff happening, and it's like, little girl, get out of this room. Because she
Yeah,
didn't listen and she got trapped, and then she tried to, like, to see her just holding
the
the
hand.
burnt crisp of her arm, like elbow, like not even all the way up to her elbow,
Yeah,
was just sort of heartbreaking. And I can sort of tell part of her personality, like the way that she is so like um closed off from everyone else, is probably because of that. Because you can tell the way her just holding that little hand,
yeah,
it's different when you lose a kid than when you lose an adult. And
yeah.
yeah, it
Which
was a
kind
good
of
scene.
brings us to the next part where she calls it her ex, but it's like she just left. Like
Yeah,
they never officially broke up. She's like, I went to a job and just never went back. And she happened to leave the sand with Rachel Moody, was the girl's apartment they go to. And after watching this scenario play out, I'm like, who let Constantine into the apartment? Because you find out later on that she's actually dreaming all that apology stuff when she's talking
mm-hmm.
to her at the doorway. I don't think that actually happened. She's
Oh, you know,
dreaming.
that didn't happen. That didn't
Yeah.
happen. But
So
he came
who
in through her dream.
he came in, but who
Yeah.
let Constantine up? So she buzzed the buzzer and someone buzzed her in.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Because it had to be her. So I'll say this. So it did look like when they found her that she has like a little bit of an awareness, but not control, not full control.
yeah.
Or it's like an addict. Like you don't really, she's addicted to the sand. So maybe
That
she dreamed about opening the buzzer because she wants the reunion, and that's why it happened.
yeah. I'm thinking the sand had to somehow
Yeah,
incorporately buzz her in because when in the midst of their kind of apology, not apology scenario, the image of her falls into sand, and that's when Dream reappears in front of her, and she and he tells her to wake up. So like, oh, she
yeah.
was dreaming. So I'm like, well, who let her in? And then you see old girl, like you said, she's incapacitated, laying on the bed, looking cracked out, with the pouch still in her hand.
Like skin and literal bones. Like it was. I wasn't expecting to see her in that state.
Yeah,
And he's like, it was never meant for human because like humans are not can't handle this.
yeah.
And she was fighting, like she didn't eat, hadn't drank, was nothing, was literally a skeleton.
Yeah, she's sitting in that bed wasting away. And then, weirdly enough, when it's obvious that Rachel's going to die, at first, Joanna Constantine takes no accountability, at least not to Dream at first.
She tried
To
to
him,
blame it on him.
she's like, yo, well, you just it's this is what you're going to do. You're trying to save humanity. Well, here she is, and he's like, I'm not the one who left her with us.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then finally she kind of, but she doesn't say it to him. She says it to Rachel as she knows she's about to die when she leaves the room. Like, I shouldn't have left. I shouldn't have left
yeah,
her with you. I'm so sorry. And that's when she takes her accountability for it and leaves the room. So my boy, she passes away and he lets her go in a peaceful dream. And he's got his sand. So he's got two of the three things now. He's got his sand and he's got, well, no, that was the sand.
no, not yet. That's next episode. That's episode
In,
4.
He's got one thing. He's got the
Yes,
sand back now.
he has his sand back,
Yeah.
and he thanked Constantine by taking away her nightmares,
Yeah.
her dreaming that memory.
That yeah,
Um,
reoccurring.
because I do like it earlier when he's like, if I'm destroyed, she's like, well, I need a good night's sleep, and he's like, you'll never have a good night's sleep if I'm
Yeah. Now as
destroyed.
long as I don't get the sand, you ain't sleeping no time. We're gonna make sure
um,
about that.
and so then like, to go from you're never gonna have another good night's sleep, and we know that he uses sleep as a punishment for people, keeping them in constant. We saw that he did that to Alex in the first episode. That he's in 100 years of constant fitful sleep. To like, I'm gonna bless you with some good deep sleep, and I'm gonna be honest, I would love to have that, a nice restful night every night.
Yeah. Antonio Washington says life commentary, perhaps letting your fantasies negatively consume your life.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok.
I just had a limit on that. I was addicted.
Yeah. So yeah, we get the end of that episode with him finally getting his sand, and then he lets Matthew know that they're gonna have to go to hell. I think before that though, we see John D after he escapes, hitches a ride. He gets a ride, uh, and then that they we save
I
the
just
rest
want
of
to
that
say,
conversation for next episode. But I got some things to say about old girl.
so do I. So do I. Because she did the thing you don't do.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as John gets freed, Corinthian shows up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's on it. He's trying to be, whoever he thinks can take out Dream, he's gonna try and team up with them. He tried to team up with Moms, and she wasn't going for it. Sent his ass back to the
Mm-hmm.
Dreamscape, and so now he's like, well, she must be out the picture. I got one more I could try. Man, it's getting kind of crazy. It's interesting. I like it a lot so far. Um, let's take a quick break
Mm-hmm.
and come back, and then we will talk about the next episode, episode 4, A Hope in Hell. Talk to you in a second. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, and I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
We are continuing our talk about the Sandman. We just discussed in the first half, episode 3, Dream a Little Dream of Me, and now we're going to episode 4, A Hope in Hell. We see Dream or Morpheus and Matthew arrive in hell. It's a different rendition. I mean, obviously we get some
Yeah.
of the same tropes of things. It's action, it's except for Matthew says that I didn't know it would be cold because he doesn't know that it was actually a real place. But before they leave, he's like, "Are you being metaphorical or actual hell? Hell?" He's like, "Yeah, no, we going to hell for real." And it's kind of desolate. Obviously, it looks really dirty. And he's like, "How do we find our way?" He's like, "I guess we need to follow the dam." So there's like a procession of people with lanterns. I think when we get a close-up look, they have like these weird baskets on their backs with fire. And then Matthew's like, "You mean to tell me you have to bring your own fire to hell?"
Fire.
Yeah, he's a funny character. They're walking up, and what'd you think of the doorbell? Like the literal like being stuck in the wall to give him the
It, I'll say this. It was a very much digestible version of hell. If
yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Because like, how do you imagine something like that, whether you believe in it or not? Like, how do you imagine that? And this was a very, I'll say, very believable imagining of it, but
yeah,
also an imagining that I never want to ever like go to.
yeah.
It was very much uncomfortable to see the little figure stick out, hand him the little stick to hit the gong,
And then go right
and
back.
then like go back in. It was just like, it's just like misery.
Yeah. Like that's the dude's job for eternity, just to be the hander of this little hammer to
And
the
it's not, if you're like in hell, that's not really the worst job ever.
no. No, and
Like,
there were a bunch of bodies around that doorway in the wall, just embedded. And when he hit the little doorbell, all the bodies kind of moved. It was weird. It was different. And then we get
yeah,
Squatter Bloat, the demon, who I guess is the doorman. He was funny
disgusting.
because he was talking in rhymes the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
There's one at the door. Thief, thug, or whore. There's always room for one more. There's one at the door.
He was very much uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah, yeah. I think purposefully so, I think.
Yeah, purposely, but like he was very much uncomfortable to look at. It
Did you
was. Go ahead.
did you notice then in response finally when Morpheus asked to come in, he also replied in rhyme?
Mm-hmm.
Time it was like, what are they having a rap battle? What's going on?
It's like it's that demon was just. I think I may have blocked out some of the stuff for that demon because he just looked so disgusting. Especially when he turned around, and you could see part of his back and arrows were sticking out. It was like, okay, this is sort of a little disgusting.
Yeah. I thought for sure he was leading them somewhere that they weren't supposed to go at first,
Yeah.
especially when he disappeared in the fog. I was like, oh, what's happening now? Oh boy, just
and
disappeared.
and Matthew's like, I'm gonna fly up. And never mind when he sees like all the dead bodies at the top.
And he's like, nope,
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 not
nope,
doing
not
that.
gonna do that, not doing that, not doing that. And then we
Yeah.
like, and so
I
like,
think they paused there and send us back to John, which first half of this, he finds Miss Rosemary almost hits him in the street and decides she's gonna just let him hitch a ride with her.
ain't no way on God's green earth that you will ever catch me letting some man that I don't know off the street in my car by myself with the dog.
Yeah,
And you know the dog is mine? No, no, no. Honey, it's night. He's in his pajamas.
yeah,
He doesn't know where he is.
yeah,
You don't know anything about this person. You are not an Uber driver. You have nothing to say. Like, no one knows.
yeah.
You broke all the rules of being a female.
But
Like,
not only that, aren't they like he just broke out of a mental institution from everything
yeah.
gathered. So wouldn't you know there was one like near, unless it's like a super secret mental institution. But there's one quite he couldn't have gone that far away from where he just walked out of the building.
And it didn't look residential. So he's in his slippers. Why is he in his slippers in the middle of a city? Because it looked like he was in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to say that's like, oh, do you need me to call someone for you? Okay, let me go ahead and call. Let me. Do you? I can call you an Uber,
Yeah.
but you're not getting in my car.
Yeah. And not only that, she was asking too many damn questions and then giving up too much information about herself. Because not only she was asking him and just letting him just answer, then you confirm that you got two little girls and you confirm all this other personal information.
Yes,
and
not even
that's
stopping.
definitely a hell no.
Not even stopping.
Not even stopping. Yeah. That was bugging me. It's like, why are you asking this dude all these questions? Why don't you just if you took that risk, why don't you just drop him off wherever he needs to go and then don't say nothing?
And it seemed like it was a drive. Like on the directions, it seemed like it was like a long enough drive where it was believable that she needed to stop for gas. And I wanted to be like, honey, I know you ain't getting scared now. You're the one who suggested giving him a ride.
Yeah. Well, no, she was looking at if you look at the scene, she looks at the gas gauge and realized she's still got like 3/4 of a tank left. So she's almost at full. So she doesn't really need to get gas, but she's searching for some way to get out of the car and tell.
No, I meant for him, like believable enough that he believes you need to get gas. Like it's far enough away for him to believe.
Yeah, because he seemed to be kind of out of it, not even really knowing where he was. He knew Mayhew, and she says that's on my way. I live in Cumberland. Like too much information to be giving.
You don't even know where I live.
Giving up right now.
Where you from? Over there. Where you going? Over there.
Yeah, next to my neighbor's house.
You don't need to know. You don't need to know nothing about me.
Yeah.
When people ask me where I live, I say Washington, D.C. I do not live in D.C., but that's all y'all need to know.
Yeah. So she starts kind of freaking out, and she fumbles the bag trying to dial 911 with the GPS thing, and then but I'm like, wouldn't he have heard? Is it going to be like speakerphone if you call it right there while it's because usually when you have your GPS on your phone, it's like in hands-free mode. So he didn't make calls. So he would have heard, what was she gonna say if 911 picked up? Like that wasn't gonna go well.
I that whole situation, I think out of everything on this show, that was the most unbelievable scene
You
I've
think it
ever
was
seen
because of
in
the
my entire
dog?
life. Huh?
I'm wondering if she maybe thought the dog. Some people feel like animals can tell when there
Nope.
are bad people, and so Susie wasn't tripping in the car. Then she's like, well, maybe he's an all right person. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to give her some benefit of the doubt. It was
She
all
ain't
just
got
crazy.
none because I you this is 2022. We do not let random people into our cars off
Yeah.
the street that we don't know. He didn't even lie and say, "Oh, I know this so and so. Oh, you know so and so. I know so and so. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead, get in my car. They're good people. They want to be your friend if
Yeah.
like you were a bad person." Wasn't even any of that. It was straight up. Oh, I almost hit you. Well, let me give you a ride somewhere. Nah,
Yeah, I'm a
no.
big dude. I'm not picking no stranger up, male or female, just on GP.
I gave one random girl a ride to a bus stop from a doctor's office, and I only did it because I had someone on speakerphone the entire time,
Oh
and
wow.
like the bus route was within sight of the doctor's office, but she had like a long freaking cast on her leg, and
Okay.
she was gonna have to do crutches all the way down. That was
Mm.
the I was like, look, if something happens, I can beat you. like, like you can overpower me in that long, like in that brace and those crutches. You ain't like I would win. And
Yeah.
even then, I had someone on speakerphone the entire time because you never know who people know who might be texting. Oh, I'm in this car. Follow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Nah.
that was a crazy. And they give us a break. They send us back to hell with Morpheus and Matthew, and they finally make. Who I wanted to see more about this Nada character when he goes up the spire and
Confused.
has the dark skin. And then he was black. Like
Yeah.
when her from her perspective, looking at him, and I see this black dude with dreads and dark skin. I was like, was Dream like? Did he change? Did Morpheus change forms throughout time? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cause
I'm
like
gonna get the comics now just to see if that's how it is there. I was like, who's this brother? And he was speaking in his voice, but it was a brother, obviously.
I I'm bet. Like, do, do you get to change races? Like, is that something that you can do? Because at first I thought she was dreaming and saw a reflection of the person she was dreaming about on him because he's like, the god of dreams.
Yeah,
But when he was like, "Oh no, that's not as she was the leader of the first people. She
yeah,
betrayed me. We
yeah,
were in love and she betrayed me." Wait, what?
yeah. I was like, whoa, I want that story. I want let's go back to the first people and see when Morpheus was rolling around as a brother.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, that's
and
different.
like it's 10,000 years, and you
Yeah,
have yet to forgive her. So what did she really do?
yeah, yeah. She defied me. I'm like, okay,
Like,
that could
and
be.
she's in hell for it.
Yeah, I still love you, but I have yet to forgive you. So you just have to sit there and hold that. I was like, damn, that's cold.
That's so cold.
Yeah, so they finally make their way up to the top and then shoot through some other area and find their way to the palace where Lucifer is, and we get to meet their rendition of Lucifer, played by Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones.
She's
So
killing it.
she was on it, and she's. It was interesting to see her and when he finally gets around to asking what he wants to ask to try and get the helm and try and find the demon, she's trying to play him like, well, let's summon
Mhm.
all of them since you don't know his name. And then he's like, no, I don't need to, shall we ask them all one by one? Is there just like a plethora of myriad of demons waiting down there? He's like, no, that won't be necessary. And she thinks he's like leaving, like you give up so easily. He's like, no, I don't, I'm not giving up. I got my sand bag. I can find that which is mine, which is in hell. And he
Mhm.
summons the demon. And this was a kind of, I should have seen this one coming when old boy was like, we're going to basically challenge you to a duel. If you win, you get your helm back. But if I win, you get to be my slave for eternity in hell. I'm like, damn, that's kind of high stakes. And old boy was quick to be like, I'll accept the terms. And then they're like, well, who's your champion? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna be my champion. I'll fight for myself. And then I was like, he's gonna pull something. He's like, Lucifer, I choose you, sire. I'm like, oh.
Ah.
Did you see how fast her fit changed?
Mm-hmm.
When he turned around, she was in all the little white gown, and then she comes up and she's in the black with the tight collar, like, hey, you
Let's
know
get
the
down to
rules.
business.
Yeah, I was like, oh, but it was kind of funny. It was like trial by philosophical combat.
And it was, I feel like,
Was it skill, confidence, and transformation were the three things?
I feel like the only way that could really work is if you both guessed without knowing the other person's guess. Because she started as a dire wolf, and then he was like, "I'm a hunter." Then, but it's like if it's like the second person can always one up the first person.
Yeah, she kind of played herself by going first purposely.
Yeah, because unless you write it on a sheet of paper and it's like, all right, look, this is my thing for the first one, this is my thing for the first one, and then you put it up there not knowing what the other one picked, I feel like that's an easier or a more fair way of fighting. But I guess you also in hell, so it doesn't matter if you're fair or not. But who would ever want to go first? Because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm a direwolf. Oh, well, I'm the best hunter there is. Oh, look, you died.
Antonia, yes, I have seen American Gods, and she says the gods changed with the times, so that wasn't far off for me to see him appear in a way that reflects the beings that worship and interact with him. That's fair,
That's
but
fair.
I believe American Gods, they basically showed them how they came to America from each land that they had, reached over here. So they didn't change that. I don't think they changed that drastically. Like
Did they change
my favorite
races?
one, played by Orlando Jones, Mr. Anansi. He was in his whole form the entire time. He wasn't white at any time, and then changed back to black or that. Odin, of course, I think changed many times, but that's part of his thing. Is to kind of change forms every once in a while. Um, who else is
Did
in
you watch
there?
that show?
You didn't watch that show? You didn't have
I
Showtime?
did
You didn't
not.
have
I
Showtime
did not.
Stars.
Yeah, I don't have stars,
Yeah.
and every time I get it, I don't have it long enough to where I can like sit there and watch it, and I don't want to like only. And I never get stars long enough. I always do it for like the free weekends.
I mean, I finished the episodes of American Gods, but when I knew that Anansi wasn't coming back after the last season, I just canceled. I was like, yo, I'm done with y'all.
Mm.
He was my favorite character. He was my favorite one of all of them. Took you a while to get into it. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, that's cool. Um,
Um, but yeah, so the fight between Lucifer and Morpheus was just, I won't say anticlimactic because it was interesting to see the way that they were sort of fighting in this dream world that they were in, because like they weren't actually fighting, but
yeah,
they were actually feeling the effects of the attacks on them.
yeah,
Um, but it just again seemed like they should do stuff at the same time versus someone saying something and then someone replying.
yeah. I think I had the feeling that she let him have it because she felt like she was going to keep him there anyway. There was, in her mind, it seemed like there is no winning because it was
What
kind of
would
really
you do?
abrupt when she just gave up at hope and was like left it at that, and she was like, Chorzon, give him the helm. I'm like, you didn't have anything to battle hope? Was there no answer you could come up with?
I guess you can't really snuff out hope.
Yeah,
Like it's hope.
yeah. Yeah,
And
he had a cold line though at the end before he left though, when she was like, at some point we are going to come back and destroy you. And he was like, yeah, you might think I have no power here, because I'm the king of dreams. He's like, but tell me, we're here in hell.
does
They
no one
have to
dream of
dream.
heaven?
Basically, they have to dream about heaven. So even here, he's got some. And she had like
Mm-hmm.
no answer for that. She was like,
She
"Oh,
almost cried. She was like,
yeah,
whoa. Like,
yeah." She was shook.
does no one dream of heaven?
Yeah, yeah. There's no
Directed
one dream.
directly at her.
Yeah. I didn't even see about that point. It's probably her because she wanted to rule, wanted to
Hmm.
rule heaven. Instead, took her own kingdom down to hell. And he leaves with his helmet. He puts the helmet on, and then Matthew's like,
Matthew said,
"Can
"Can
you
you
see
just be like
that
that?"
thing?" Yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly where the ruby is, and we find out that John wasn't lying. He'd actually altered the ruby, and no one else can use it now but him.
Hmm.
So when Morpheus pops up in a little storage unit, looking like it's in some type of shipping containers somewhere where he had stored it, he tries to use it, and then both him and Matthew get knocked out. And I guess John doesn't make any scene. He doesn't make any. He didn't notice that
They're there.
stuff is being because they got like blown under some rubble or something. But he just sees it laying there in the middle of the floor. I guess he just like, I don't need nothing else. This is all I really want from here. He just picks it up and walks out. And there's a scare that I thought Own Girl was gonna get. I thought he was gonna kill her at the end. She's
Okay.
like,
Why didn't she drive away?
Dad, there. He says it.
He's like,
John,
"Why are you
what
still
are you
here?"
doing here?
Because, okay, honey, you lied to him, got him to a gas station. You got the gas station clerk murdered, killed because you like. Granted, I like to have sympathy for the victim, but honey, you put yourself in this situation because you put some random guy in your car and then you felt unsafe. And instead of saying, "Oh, hey, can you go inside and get something?" Or then you lie to him, say, "Hey, get anything you want, it's on me." Then you go to the gas station attendant and have him call the police. And granted, I'm proud of the guy for trying to stand up for her and protect her. That was like nice of the attendant to do. But he died. He
Yeah,
lost his life because of you.
splat.
And all John had to say was, "I have no intention of hurting you. I never had any intention of hurting you. Do you plan on lying or hurting me, or something along something along those lines?" And she's like, "No." He's like, "Well, then I don't need to hurt you."
Yeah,
It's like he never really intended to ever do her harm,
yeah.
even though
No,
he
she
was
was kind to
crazy.
him. Yeah,
He was just trying. He kept at everyone who came after. He's like, "Please don't do that. It's gonna hurt yourself more." It was never really his intention to hurt people because
yeah,
he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, "I was in the psychiatric hospital for 30 years." Because you're not sane, but doesn't mean he's safe, but not safe.
yeah,
He doesn't want to hurt her. He never planned on hurting her. But honey, you got yourself in a situation. You're finally free of the crazy guy, and you didn't just up and go. I
yeah.
would have backed out of that thing so
Yeah.
fast and kept it moving.
Yeah, she should have been gone. Yeah, Antonia says it was like an intellectual game of the dozens between Morpheus and Lucifer. That's right. It was yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I would have been gone as soon as he went into the thing. And if you at your destination, cool. I'm out. Yeah, me and Susie would have been out. We'd have been on our way back to our kids. I wonder if he thought he would track her down. In which case, it would. Yeah, true. But again, uh, because she
Opened her
told
mouth.
him the city she lived in and the fact that she had two daughters and gave out the two daughters' names. Like, had that not happened, then you would have been free to go, and no one would. He'd have to do some searching to find out who you are and where you were. But she was just giving up all types of info in the midst of her asking too many damn questions.
I
Um,
will say it was nice that he ended up giving her the amulet of protection. He's like, "You never have to be afraid or lie ever again. Here you
yeah,
go." He's like, "I have my ruby. I'm good." And it's like sort of interesting because I feel like he was sort of almost shaped up to be the villain, sort of,
yeah,
but he's not really the villain because he never intended to hurt people.
yeah,
It's just that was the happenstance of the amulet that was there to protect him from other people trying to hurt him. Or at least so far, because I don't know what's going to happen in
no,
the next couple of episodes now that he has the ruby. Because at the end he says, like, "I'm now trying to save the world," and now that's villain talk right there. That's
yeah,
villain talk.
yeah, thinking he's doing something good. Not only that, I'm like, he thinks he's safe because he has the ruby, and I know it's not going to work out the way he thinks it's going to work out. And unless he has something we don't know about, Homeboy's going to have to sleep. In which, if you sleep, he can get you, and you're gonna. It's like this is like a nicer looking Freddy Krueger. He can just pop up in your dreams with you or find you wherever you at.
Like, what's up?
Yeah,
Oh, we're
which
dreaming at the beach again. Oh, that's nice. Wake up.
is going to be crazy. Yes, I like both of these episodes. They were interesting, very different takes on a lot of the things that we do see over and over again. I'm sure Joanna Constantine will be back, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Rosemary and that amulet of protection pops back up again. It's probably going to have to, but the person that traded the amulet for the helm is gone now. I assume. Well, we don't know. We don't see him dead, but he got tossed off into the rest of the demons. The
Oh
one that
yeah.
traded, yeah. So he may. Well, since I can't get what I traded it for, I'm gonna go try and take it back. I don't know if that's gonna happen, and then maybe John has to. It might be a weird that John has to defend Rosemary because it's like this is the one person on this planet I like that's not selfish.
Yeah. But next time, honey, be selfish. Don't let him into your car.
Yeah,
Do not let strange people into your car at night. Ever,
right.
really, but especially not at night.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. Thank you again for chatting about these things with me. Everybody that's checking us out on the live, appreciate it. Don't be shy. Go ahead to Anchor and check out the Askari Cast where we put the audio up on Anchor, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify, and other places where you can catch podcasts. Don't forget to check out Andrea Rose Washington and Monica Pinkett.
Trekking and beyond, explore strange new worlds with us.
Yes, sir. That's their podcast also available on Anchor and all the other places where podcasts are broadcast. Check them out as well. And if you're interested in sci-fi and fantasy, there'll be links in the description to both my author website and Andrea's Patreon page where you can support her as well. Thank you all, and we will talk to you next time.